Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. We're in for a real treat over here because I'm thrilled to be joined by Steph Clapham, the principal researcher at Latana, a leading Berlin-based business-to-business startup for AI-powered brand tracking solutions. And let's face it, small businesses and startups are completely overwhelmed. I can tell you I am, with who they should be tracking, what they're doing, and so on. And that's why we've got this experienced researcher. Steph, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Every single business, every single entrepreneur listening to this program is asking the same question. How can I resonate with my target audience? And it's a good thing you're here. Steph, how can we do that?
Absolutely. At Latana, we are very much focused on innovation-driven consumer insights to help brands do exactly that, to measure their performance among their consumers in their market, and also to kind of get a better grasp of their target audiences. So I think the first step in ever kind of reaching a target audience with your product or your brand is always to know how they think, how they react to your brand, and always have that kind of first step ahead of the consumer to know how the industry is moving and what they're going to want.
For sure, absolutely. And again, with so many folks, especially during the pandemic, sort of trying their entrepreneurial hand, getting things started. A lot of people hear data and they roll their eyes because they think that's just for big businesses. That's just for large corporations. But I know, Steph, I know you and your team at Latana, I know you argue that quality data is important for everybody. What does it take to get quality data? And I mean, what should a small business owner do in order to get started in that process?
Absolutely. So one of our core focuses at Latana is to help exactly as you said, the smaller to kind of mid-sized company understand that their consumers. Traditionally, this is a very hard thing to do because it requires extremely precise and accurate measurements of data. If you have kind of a very low awareness of your brand, for example, then it's going to be very difficult to do much more with that data set. If only a small portion of your sample know the brand, they can no longer kind of answer anything further on the brand. So we have a few kind of methodologies that we focus on to ensure that our data is extremely accurate and reliable. The first one I would dive into quickly would be our sampling methodologies. So a lot of companies in this space, in this industry, focus on a very traditional and kind of, in my opinion, outdated means of collecting online survey data. And these typically tend to be panels of people who have kind of signed up to do a survey on a regular basis. This can be kind of problematic in a few ways. Firstly, you have a finite pool of these people who have signed up willingly. And secondly, these people are quite professional in the way that they take these surveys. So they know the survey, they know how to manipulate it, kind of thing. So we actually partner with what are called DSPs, so demand side platforms, to allow us to tap into a very kind of lucrative and vast ad network. So we show our surveys as regular ads, and people kind of choose whether they want to participate or not. So this really does enhance our reach to people in the world, and also the quality of answers we get, because no one's really incentivized to provide a misleading answer in the survey.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to go back to that term incentivize in just a moment. But one thing that I know, a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs and big businesses are used to is a lot of surveys. There's some sites that may rhyme with Hervé Unky that have made it pretty easy. But how can somebody get started in designing a survey that will field useful results? And again, we're chatting with the expert, Steph Clapham from Latana. And I know you know a thing or two about resonating with target audience, as we said, and getting that quality data. So when we were talking about surveys, what do we need to do?
So I think, really the kind of number one thing you want to avoid doing is biasing the respondent in any way, or inputting kind of an influence on the respondent in any way. So every time you think about asking a question to a consumer, it really needs to be removed of your own personal input, your own personal opinion, and be designed in a way that doesn't lead them to a particular answer. So some ways that we do this, for example, is to silo the brands that we're assessing. So sometimes if you have a list of many different brands in a question, and you might say, which of these brands do you know? It's very misleading if there's lots of logos. There's some brands with lots of resonation with people, and others that are very low resonation. Also kind of logo designs influence the way that people select brands. So we really try to focus on questions in an individual style, so that we really focus the attention of the consumer.
Absolutely. Wonderful. And I know we promised we'd get to this. So I just want to ask this real quick. You mentioned incentivized sampling. What is
Yeah.
non-incentivized sampling and how can it benefit us?
So incentivized sampling is any kind of sampling where you're offering a reward for the participant to complete the survey. So this is typically something like a voucher or a point-based system, but basically they have to complete the entire survey in order to receive the reward. Non-incentivized sampling is basically the opposite of that. It's a very casual and opt-in format of surveying where people just give their opinions because they want to, rather than they're being, incentivized to do that.
Okay, fantastic. Very, very helpful. And, I've learned a lot in this conversation. I know you and your team at Latana are doing amazing, amazing things. And all of our listeners should definitely get in touch with you so they can learn all of the great information that you're putting out. How can we get in contact with you and your team?
So you can head to our website, which is www.latana.com. That's LATANA. Or we have the kind of usual social media links. So LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find us all over there.
Steph Clapham, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to bringing you back on real soon to continue this conversation. So important about data and so much valuable information for small businesses and entrepreneurs. We've got more for you after this quick break, so you don't want to touch that dial. You're listening to Get Down to Business. My website is shalomklein.com. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Shalom.